Welcome, everybody, to the April 16th, 2024 regular business meeting. May I please have a motion to call the business meeting to order? So moved, Maria. Second, Charlie. All in favor? Aye. And may I please have a motion to move into executive session to discuss bargaining contracts? So moved, Carole.
Second.
Second, Linda. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll be back shortly. All right, welcome back, everyone, to our April 16th meeting. Can I please have a motion to move out of executive session and into public session?
So moved.
So moved. Second, Charlie, all in favor?
Aye.
Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. And a motion to approve the agenda, please. So moved, Maria. Second, Shanna. All in favor? Aye. And with that, we should have our liaisons. I can see the flag now.
Thank you for moving it.
Ooh, we got a full group tonight. This is
I know,
exciting.
this is
Ooh.
exciting.
I don't think we've had all 5 of you yet. This is great.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Best.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, I'm Roman, well, at least I hope you know by now. And next to me, thankfully, is Tristan, back and feeling better than ever.
Yes, thank
Excellent.
You. I'm so glad you're feeling
I
better.
hope everyone had an amazing spring break and a great Easter, of course, if you celebrated. And I don't know about you, but we are already shocked that it's the 4th quarter. One more quarter left for Tristan and I.
The year has absolutely flown by, and to start off this month's school news, we'd like to tell you about Schrader's One Warrior Week. So the week prior to the break, Schrader held their annual One Warrior Week, where students got another burst of school spirit, and they dressed up together. Monday through Thursday of that week, Schrader Student Council put on an Eclipse t-shirt sale, and on Thursday the school came together and they wore their Eclipse shirts, making for like a complete blackout in the hallway and the cafeteria. It was a great spectacle to see, and it made up for all those clouds on the eclipse. I'm a little disappointed. I don't know about you guys.
Of course, in the library, Schrader had their Scholastic Book Fair. And while it was aimed for the UPK kids, us high school students got our fair share of nostalgia, smelling the scented erasers and chocolate bars once more.
And over to sports. Schrader's baseball season is off to a good start. Took down Thomas 7-6 in their most recent game. We have had the pleasure of talking to a few students on the baseball team, and they are optimistic about how their season is going to go this year. Also in sports, Schrader Wrestling's very own Ethan V won a national level honor, character, and leadership award. It's sponsored by the United States Marine Corps as well, so we got some big names up there. And Schrader Wrestling also has 4 warriors moving on to the National High School Coaches Association Nationals in Virginia Beach, and that's Aiden V, Jackson H, Max T, and Tommy R. So they're doing well.
Well done. That's great.
Of course, how Mr. Neenan knows, last month, Young Entrepreneurs Academy held their investor board right here in this room, where 18 students proposed their businesses to local business owners, where a total of $6,300 was awarded to the students. The business chosen to move on to the YA Saunders Scholarship competition at RIT is Expressive Echo, founded by Roman Pitkova. The first runner-up is The first runner-up is J&J Marketing, established by Jack, Nick, Drew, Jack S, and Maya P. And the second runner-up is Lineup by Julia F. All Schrader students. At the Saunders competition, students will be competing up to $30,000 in scholarship money to RIT and a $5,000 cash prize. I hope to return with some good news next month.
What's the date on that?
May 3rd.
Awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so now over to the Schrader Theater Company. They're preparing for their big show this year, Little Woman. The show will be available from Thursday, April 25th to Saturday, April 27th, with 2 shows on Saturday. The tickets are $10 each, and we would absolutely love to see all of you there.
And of course, Mr. Johns and his class went to the Braddock Bay Raptor Research Center to learn more about the study of raptors, and the students had an amazing time.
Alrighty, so the news this month may have been short, and we're not surprised. We're coming up on AP test season, so everybody's, like a little anxious, but, we're going to get through it, and Roman and I are very, very excited to report next month on all the post-AP celebrations. So thank you all for your time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank
you.
you, gentlemen, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, sorry, I'm not loud enough. Good afternoon. I hope you all had a wonderful break, and I hope all is well. We have one last final push for school, and APs are coming up close. I started studying last week. So there have been some pretty big changes at Thomas and exciting things happening. But before I get started, I would like to introduce Naya Howard-Wygant. And we are so lucky to have her. She's a sophomore, and she's a wonderful human being. So I'm rewinding a little bit back, and on March 21st through 23rd, we had our school's production of Shrek, which I was so thankful to be a part of as the stage manager. And it was incredibly successful. We almost sold out a show on Friday, and it was incredibly fun for everyone involved. I just had a blast the whole time. And with Freaky Friday and Shrek combined, we have finally financially secured the music department for the first time since COVID and rebuilding the program, and we're very excited for the years to come. So March was also Music in Our Schools Month, sponsored by our chapter's Triumph National Honor Society, with concerts both at Willink, Thomas, and even combining the two. And band, choir, orchestra all had very successful performances, especially Kaleidoscope with Lauren and I. And there were so many people involved in that choir that we had to split it up into two separate concerts because there were so many people. Also on April 11th, this was our chapter's National Honor Society induction ceremony. This year we inducted 64 new members, and we're going to continue to volunteer as members now, not just candidates anymore. Finally, from me, Community Arts Day was on April 13th, featuring so many talented kids from Thomas, and even some students participated in face painting. So I hope you all got to see and check out some of the art and music and dance from there and all the talent. Thank you so much.
Hi guys. So, how are you?
Great.
Good. So, moving forward, Lemoyne College hosted its regional mid-state tournament featuring our Webster Thomas team entering in 9th place over 52 other teams, guys. That is amazing.
That's
so,
awesome.
congratulations to you
Yeah.
guys. And then within our unified basketball team, they're looking for more people to help throughout their great season. However, the marking period to join is from April till May, so you've got a short cut in to get in there. So if you would like to join, Mr. Bertram at peter-bertram-webstercsd.org has a lot more information for you guys to check out. I just lost my spot. And then the Webster Marching Band is hosting an informational meeting on Wednesday, April 22nd for newcomers who would like to participate or just learn more about our phenomenal team. If you have any questions, they can also be directed to Mrs. Cole and at brittanycole@webstercsd.org. The Earth Club is hosting their annual Earth Club Week, including the long-awaited thrift fair and the library. Donations and once-left clothing or accessories can be put in collection bins outside of the house offices and also in Miss Jury's room. If you would like to volunteer for the event, reach out to an Earth Club member or email Miss Jury. Also, the Senior Luminary Walk will be held May 19th from 7:30 to 9:30 at Webster Parks and Rec. And then the rain date will be May 26th.
All right, it's me.
All right.
Hi, I'm
Hi,
Naya
Naya.
Howard-Wygant. I'm a sophomore, and I'm very happy to be here and meet everybody and see familiar faces. But now I'm going to talk about sports at Thomas. Recently, our lacrosse team had their day of service where they spent it collecting garbage between Thomas and Willink. They found some very interesting items, including a chair, a sled, and some fencing. For our boys lacrosse team, on Thursday, they hosted Penfield and fought a hard battle but lost 11-10. Very close game. For girls lacrosse, Titans beat Hilton on Wednesday night with 14-6. And for our boys golf team, they hosted Fairport for the opening match on Wednesday, but unfortunately did lose 217-206. For baseball, Titans hosted Pittsford Mendon on Wednesday, and Titans are just getting warmed up because they lost 3-2. For our girls softball, finally Titans hosted Hilton on Wednesday, and the varsity team beat them 11-0. And for our new flag football team, They are doing so incredibly well. For our first game, we won against Schrader 38-0, and that tends to keep happening as that tends to keep happening because against Greece Arcadia, they just won 21-0 in their recent game. That was a complete oops. That was a complete shutdown, and they tend to keep doing these to 0.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome, Naya.
Thank you.
And as Joni's coming up, obviously we saw one win on the Schrader side and one win on Thomas. Right now, as we're talking, the Thomas and Schrader boys golf team are competing, and I'm pretty sure they tied. Dave's looking it up.
Thank
you,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
So sweet.
I know. Nice job.
Thank you, girls.
Wonder who provides them with all those opportunities. Execute their voices. And some of the things they have been talking about. We are going to be talking about too. I don't have other people, but I do have books. And I loved it that when the student liaison started off, it's Brown Bear, Brown Bear.
Yeah.
But it's their own voices. Happy spring, everybody. It's here, and it's going to stay.
Let's hope.
Yes, yes. We have behavior modifications for it if it doesn't. Some task analysis. Maybe there'll be a snow day in May. All right. Our students are just insane. I love when I get to check off things on the list that you have already heard, and I'm really grateful I'm before the administrators so I can capture some of the things they were going to share too. It's neat because we have over 850 WTA members, and that is a very strong sense of being able to share our voices with the students so they can share theirs. Right from our UPK programs, that nostalgia, and the kids at the high school, they had it in the hallway, and they had 12th graders, here are 4-year-olds creating their own versions, and high school kids stopping, putting their phones in their back pocket, and staring at the wall filled with 20 different versions of Brown Bear, what do they say? And then going in the library, because it's there, and the UPK is there, and checking out the book. It's so good to see them take their time and really take in a moment. Also, the solar eclipse, the second graders in the district did some of their own things from classroom to classroom. I do believe their weather was better and their activities were pretty awesome, so they got to celebrate before we even left on break. And instead of having to narrow down, teachers and students got together, planned them in the classrooms, and then they got to do multitude of activities that were set up and organized for that day before break, which was pretty cool. And they could experience that. April 8th was a little different. Our middle school, last time I talked about the Newberry Castle, the libraries that get together. Here's the book, The Lost Year. We had it in our November drive, and that was one of the ones the districts across our district, librarians brought kids together, and they voted on that should be the one that should be in libraries, should be in schools. Pretty awesome. Our AP students, we have from Eric Carole to The Lost Year to Desmond Tutu and Dalai Lama. How cool is that? The gamut of kids sharing books, sharing voices, taking in moments, and then being able to take those moments and address social issues, be able to write papers at their levels, make their claims, do their research, support it, and some of them come up with some pretty cool resolutions, which we could share with other people around the world. So our OWL teams got together and worked with our counselors, and they were able to get our students all on our OWL seminar, we call it, which is the same seminar that is occurring across the district in school links. It is so important that they are embedded, and we are so grateful that you support that OWL and GOAL are part of our communities, part of our schools. GOAL, I heard they had some hot lasagna lunch for Family Week. They did. They were at Hot Shots, they were playing volleyball, they were playing Minute to Win It. All those family activities, we've all been involved in those. Yes, this is our family, and yes, this is our work school family. And that was neat that they had so many things to do, they made it a week. Why crunch it in one day? They made it a week. Pretty cool. Field trips. Tomorrow, Owl goes to the Red Wings game. We're hoping the rain comes in at like 1:32 when we leave. And we thank the bus and transportation people for trying to make sure that we can stay for as long as possible. We will be going off there. There are some districts, Hot Shot School went to. We also have our elementary schools, our middle schools attending field trips, plays, Shrek, Alice in Wonderland at Willink, where there were over 50 kids involved in a student-run play. Pretty cool. I couldn't believe all the things that kept coming at us. As far as our board, our WTA board, we have our women's committee. They are going to Seneca Falls. We have our EDI committee that has reached out every month, letting us know where the calendar falls, where the holidays fall. There are some restrictions that we may not know of, things that are going on, cafeteria restrictions with different bread, different dietary needs, different celebrations that are going on, and just making sure what are the available, what are our resources. We have our WTA scholarship. We have a number of students that applied. We are very eager to share that news. I can't share it, I promised. Our WTA cares. Craig Johnville has done an unbelievable job, from our walks to plunging to our books. And in June, he will be having more drives that we share, but we also have our Best Buddy Walk that's coming up on September, and involving more students and kids. Their logo was so awesome. When Kelly sent it out, she said, it's more welcoming to people with IDD, one friendship, one job, and one life-changing connection. I had to make sure I read that correctly. It's pretty cool. Our PTSA, CAD, wow. It just keeps going and going. It was so nice to see it back in person, as we look forward to our SEPTA being in person on April 28th and raising money and funds for our SEPTA scholarships that were still given out because of the work that was being done for 4, 5, 6 years in advance, which is really neat. I'll have more on that. That's April 28th, so I'll have more on that in early May when we report back. There's so much going on. There's so much good going on. And we also know there can be a really heavy load. And we appreciate when we get to know that we have each other, we have each other's backs, but sometimes it's out of our scope. And being aware that we have an employee assistance program, and being aware that when we need to reach out, and we encourage each other to reach out, because we will only be better for our students for doing so, that those resources are there, and when we need to learn more about them, that we can open the door and enroll more people to listen to those webinars, listen to each other. So we are grateful for that. We appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thanks, Joni. Nice job. All right, campus news. So I'm going to invite some friends up to come on up here right behind Joni. Miss Kate Hessla is our Schlegel Road principal. Dr. Brian Powers is our Willink Middle School principal. And Mr. Blaine Cunningham, our Director of Buildings and Grounds and our Clerk of the Works. He wears many caps. So if you guys want to come on up and settle in, I will start off with a couple different pieces of information. So you heard Joni and you heard the kids talk about Community Arts Day, so I won't say too much there, other than it was the 47th And I actually had breakfast this morning with Dr. Willink, and Dr. Willink was the superintendent when that started, so we had a nice conversation about that. So that was pretty neat. And again, obviously, the talent of our kids, it's such a opportunity for us to really come together as a community, which is so much fun as well. And a huge shout out to our PTSA and all the volunteers, and then especially a huge, huge, huge shout out to Jenny Hyranko. Jenny Hyranko is the number of hours she put into that to make it happen is just unbelievable. So if you do see her, please, please, please give her a high five or give her a hug and tell her we appreciate everything that she does to make that happen. Next, I think maybe you are aware of this, but it's definitely worth mentioning. It's that I'm thrilled to, again, announce that we are, once again, one of the best communities for music education, as voted by the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation, and this is the 19th time that we've received this award. And this award recognizes communities throughout our country for the extraordinary efforts of teachers, administrators, parents, students, and community leaders who are making music part of a well-rounded education for every student. And I am so grateful for our entire fine arts, but certainly our music department. So what an honor. And with that being said, I will now turn things over. I think we'll have Kate go first. I think that's usually how we have the slides set up. So Ms. Hessla, I'll let you go next.
Thank you, Brian. Let's get this up here. All right, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me to present on behalf of our elementary schools. So Brian asked if we would highlight some things related to the Board of Education's goal number 1, which really is about ensuring that our students have the knowledge and the skills to be successful. And as I thought about that, I really thought about what goes into that. In particular, what do we need our teachers to have the knowledge and skills to be able to do? And so as you've heard, I'm sure, over the last year, we are in the middle of really working on our literacy instruction at the elementary grades. And this is a process that we're really dedicated to for the long run. And our teachers, almost all of them at this point actually, have gone through a pretty extensive professional learning called Letters. And recently our administrators also had the opportunity to do a Letters for Administrators piece. And I just wanted to highlight that, for me in particular as a principal, it's really helped me see that big picture. And this is a framework that, we were exposed to recently with these 7 different cogs of gears, if you will. And this really stuck with me as a helpful metaphor for such a big undertaking as we have here. There's all these different parts, and it kind of speaks to the sense of if you tweak one of them, another change might happen in another realm, whether it's our universal instruction or our assessment. And you see that professional development is like right in the middle there. So that just really is a helpful reminder that this is, while we've gone through a lot of professional development already, that's going to be an ongoing process for our leaders and for our teachers as we really move forward with this. So to highlight a couple of examples of recent happenings at some of our elementary schools related to the goals, kind of going to those next bullets that are part of Goal 1, the idea of moving beyond proficiency to mastery. So a couple of things to highlight here. The 2 pictures of the students with the little basket and like the ones that are moving around the classroom there to that side, they're actually preparing for the New York State tests, which our students, have been participating in the last couple of days. And you wouldn't necessarily think that's what they're doing because they're actually doing a scavenger hunt as well. So just highlighting some ways that, just that moving the bar and learning can also be kind of fun and can be done in some engaging ways. And that was at Clem North. And then on the other side, some students who are 4th graders who were learning about the American Revolution and got to really play the part. So another way to really bring that learning from the books to life for kids. Oops. I'm back. Let's see, I've got a few more. Here we go. Of course, we've heard a lot already about the eclipse, and it was really a great opportunity for that wonder and curiosity piece that we know is so important to us here in Webster. We had a learning menu that was shared from our teachers on special assignment with all of our teachers across all the elementary schools, so there were pieces there offered for us to try with kids, including some of what you see there, some crafts and some ways to engage them. with technology and videos and learning, and then really getting them to wonder and be curious about that event before we went on spring break. And then next, kind of connecting back to what Joni highlighted with books, March Book Madness has been a mainstay in many of our elementary schools. And what I wanted to highlight there is that the books that are part of this tournament are really chosen carefully by our librarians with, consultation to some of the organizations they're a part of, what they know that has been really popular with kids, and the themes that tend to really be around those problem solving and self-reflection and innovation, the kinds of things that are part of our board goals, but we really want kids to be thinking about through literature and the prompting. And so I know the one that has the finalist there of the Moon, that was at DeWitt, and the other one is at Schlegel, but I know that is still a secret right now. I think it's going to be announced tomorrow, so I won't spoil that one, but it's always exciting to follow, how the voting is going with the books alongside the other kinds of March Madness that might be going on. So thank you. Any questions for me?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll go over to Ms. Dr. Powers.
I was trying to wheel and deal to go first because it's always hard to follow our elementary.
You didn't do rock, paper, scissors.
We didn't. No, it's another thing we learned from our students today, I suppose. All right. All right, and again, I think Brian and our liaisons have highlighted some of what our program directors and building principals have shared. So if I go through briefly, it's not to diminish it, but just to again recognize that some really wonderful things taking place in our secondary schools as well. Our One Webster Learning Center at OWL, you can see here several. Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to get to the notes. Go back. So this is at Thomas Owell, where we see some reorganization, participation in theater, and even some student input into interior design. At Goal, again, I think WTA mentioned some of this, where we know everyone by their name, their strength, and their story. We have the scholarship winner and Link Leader nominee, and again, just some images of some continuing events for students going on at Goal that I think was mentioned are not contained intentionally to just one day, but for a whole week. At Owl Middle, our students have been excited to work with Tiffany Lawrence, who's our newest program director, and have had opportunities to do, among other things, to learn with goats and goat yoga, and the students can't stop talking about it. It was great to see the smiles on their faces as they came back, and just personally, this is our third year of Owl Middle, and so some of our current 8th graders are about to quote-unquote graduate from the program, and it's just wonderful to see the growth they've made and the opportunities they've had to remain a part of both Owl Middle and the larger Willink Middle School. At Spry, you can see here again our another example of our musicals in action on the still newest of our stages in the auditorium, our morning show crews, and just creativity in the classrooms as our students got ready for spring break. At Willink Middle School, it was great both as a parent and as a principal to be at Community Arts Day, and just to echo, you can see and you can feel the work that goes into that to really celebrate the fine arts in our community and our schools, and just a few pictures of not only our Willink Art students, but all of our students on display. Our students who take art through their 1214 program, and again, our students in Owl Middle. Seeing all that art on display and sculptures as well was really wonderful way to highlight our academic program and student achievement in the fine arts during Community Arts Day. Thomas High School shares that their annual, and again, I know our students mentioned this, but it's great that they incorporate both our JV, varsity, and our modified programs. And our students who are here for spring break do dedicate their days, or at least one day that week each year, to clean up the areas between, or basically on the Thomas and Willing campus. And they did find some interesting things. You can see, they were mentioned before, that sled looks like it may be still in usable shape if we ever get some snow. But great opportunity for our girls to give back to not only our community but to Webster, to our Webster campus. And they also inducted the National Honor Society, which again, just a more traditional but great academic celebration of student academic achievement, as well as community service. So congrats to all of our National Honor Society inductees. I believe finally, at Schrader, the career fair on Tuesday, March 26th, over 60 different institutions representing many different options and career paths after high school. Again, you just get a idea of some of those exhibits and opportunities for students to really take a peek at what careers may lay in front of them. Again, some pictures of art, I believe most of which displayed at our Community Art Day. Amazing artists in our district at both schools. World Language Honor Society, Music in Our Schools Month, and again, National Art Honor Society. Great time to be recognizing our students and all that they've achieved in academics throughout their career and this year. And again, One Warrior Week. So why one day when you can have a whole week to celebrate? And so we appreciate Schrader sharing many slides for us today. And now over to the clerk of the keys.
So Paul will be clicking for me, but thank you, Brian. Good evening. Tonight I wanted to take the time to update you a little bit about what the facilities team has been working on. Right now we're collecting a lot of things in regards to energy usage, trying to track all the new upgrades that we've done throughout the district. So not only aesthetically is it pleasing, but we are seeing a great reduction in kilowatt usage. So specifically what we're going to be doing this summer, I want to talk a little bit about a goal that we're going to be looking at Schlegel Elementary with the schools. Last summer with all the construction, there was a lot of programs that were moved to Schlegel. Those programs will be moving back to their home bases. So what we wanted to do is try to get a better cause and effect of some of the things that we do in-house with our energy management system. So basically what we want to do is look at some things to reduce the energy kilowatt usage there by 10% over this summer. Currently, since 2021, we have seen a reduction of 9%, but we want to take that a step further. That 9% was basically simply because we upgraded the boilers, the windows, the roofs, the air handlers, all of the building envelope. We invested with that, and we're seeing a good return on that, but there's more that we have to do to be a good steward. So right now, because of this, what our goal is going to be, as I said, is to reduce the kilowatt usage during the extended school year at Schlegel by 10%. Now, how are we going to do this? We got a couple things in place to do that. First of all, I want to talk a little bit about Master Library. It's our new work order and scheduling system that we have. It's been fantastic. With this, we're able to identify each room in use and also the time that the rooms are being used. We can do that up to the quarter hour. What is that? Well, basically, if we can turn something on moments before the room is in use and get it up to temperature, we don't have to turn it on at 6 a.m. if the class starts at 8. So this is a great benefit to us in our energy management, our electrical team, and our HVAC team. Second of all, we're going to decide this year where we place those classrooms. So basically, by zoning the classes into an air handler zone, we won't have to run those other air handlers, and we should see a significant savings with that. And lastly, and it's more of a cultural thing, but we're going to reduce our biases in terms of how cold or how warm you can have your classroom. So we're going to set those starting off between 74 and 71. Previously, you could be able, if you wanted it colder, we could reduce that for you. But because of the bid process that we use through Orleans County BOCES, they're predicting a 16% increase over the next 3 years. So we want to use this summer to get real data so that we can evaluate if we're going to have to do those critical points. We do use that bid. It's a consortium, and it gives us so much more buying power because the other districts are in there. But we really got to look at the culture on how we look at things going down the future now that we have all these energy efficiencies in place. I think we should look and do more in terms of what we can do to offset that possible increase coming up in 3 years. So that's our summer, along with some construction projects. This system's going to take the custodians, the whole B&G crew, to get this right, to track it. We'll have boots on the ground, but we're looking forward to meeting this goal. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Blaine, I also wanted to thank you for the assistance for State Road for their Gaga pit, because it's a big deal for those kids to be able to have something like that to play with, and you really made it happen, so thank you.
Well, you're welcome. It's great to see them out there enjoying it. So.
You know, we often talk about our cutting-edge academic program that I think we have in many different realms, but man, we have such a cutting-edge thinker right there in front of us, but a team that he has to be really forward-thinking in this. That's outstanding. Thank you so much, Blaine. Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Brian, very much for your reports. I just have one other announcement, and that really is just about our strategic planning survey. It is this is the 7th iteration of this since we began the process in 2010. Information gathered from the survey guides implementation of new district goals and initiatives, and it is so important to us. So if you are a Webster CSD resident, you're invited to complete the online survey via our website, news story at websterschools.org, by April 24th. You may also complete a paper survey at the Webster Aquatic Center, Webster Parks and Rec Department, Penfield Public Library, and Webster Public Library. So again, just a few places for that. Again, thank you guys very, very much, and that ends our campus news report for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
All right, yeah, come on up. I'll kick it over here. We have a great presentation on our ENL program, and so I'll kick it over to Erin to introduce the team that we have and go from there. So, Erin.
Thanks, Brian. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Terry McCarthy. I really wanted Terry to introduce his team, but I can't resist the urge to tell you this is Terry and Kate, Katie, and Caitlin. So maybe Terry and the 3 Ks.
Oh my gosh.
Can we call you like a new band for you, Terry? Yeah. So one of the things when people ask me what I'm proud of in Webster, ENL is one of the things that I talk about. We have some amazing professionals who work in this program and support a lot of kids. And I'm not going to tell you how many because they're going to tell you how many. So welcome and thanks for your report tonight.
Guten Abend. Bitte nehmen Sie ein Stück Papier und einen Bleistift heraus und bitte beantworte diese Frage, was haben Sie zum Frühstück gegessen?
9.
Sehr gut.
So, we wanted to start off with just giving you a sense of maybe what some of our newcoming students might experience. Coming into a situation without knowing the language at all. And then take you through what it looks like to go from basically not being aware to reaching a level of proficiency that you're going to graduate with a high school diploma. And if you weren't sure, the question was, what did you have for breakfast? Take out a piece of paper and a pencil, and what did you have for breakfast? And so hopefully all of you wrote that down. We'll be collecting it, and Kate will be scoring it and getting it back to you with copious feedback. But thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about our English as a New Language program, and thank you, Erin, for that wonderful introduction. And I appreciate just being along for the ride with these wonderful professionals and the amazing kids that we have from our kindergarten students who are just coming in to our teachers who are working with parents and families after school. We have a program at Schlegel, to our seal of biliteracy, just really engaging our community. And many of you have heard me say this before when I think about the One Webster. It's this idea of everybody can be part of one, and everybody can be their own one. And we really try to embody that with our English as a New Language program. And so we want to have a little bit of background on the alphabet soup. And it is alphabet soup. So if you hear ENL, that's the program, English as a New Language. It used to be English as a Second Language, which is what our teachers are called. But actually what we're finding is for most of our students, English is not their second language. It might be their third, it might be their fourth. And so that isn't necessarily appropriate. The state just calls them English as a Second Language teachers. And then the students who are learning English are Ls, English language learners. Okay, so you might hear those terms. We just wanted to be clear. So ENL is program, ESL are the teachers, and the Ls are the students. And so we have a growing program, and if you see in the last 5 years, we have grown by over 50%. Actually 30%, right? Brian Freeman, added 100. So we're growing a lot. I can't do the math, but somebody else can for me. We're growing a lot just in 5 years. And to meet that growth, one of the things we really appreciate the support from the Board of Education and from Brian and his entire team to say every student who's an English language learner will go to their home school. And so we have added schools. We've added back Schlegel. We've added DeWitt. And then Thomas will be adding 9th. We have 9th and 10th. We'll be adding 11th and 12th in the next 2 years. So every child, if they're an English language learner, will go to their home school because we know how important that is. And so the question often comes up so we have 303 English as a New Language, English language learners, I should say. Where do our students come from? And I like to do this quiz. I won't do a quiz here. We already quizzed you, so we'll leave that. And what are the home languages? We have almost 40 different languages represented by our student body, and students from nearly 30 different countries. Interestingly enough, still the bulk of our students, the majority of our students, are born in the United States. And it's important to remember that we have English language learners who come to us from all over the country and come to us from our communities. And so how do we support? Of course, we've seen a massive increase in our percentage from our Ukrainian families who have reported how welcoming the school community is. And that starts from the leadership from the school board and from Brian. And our parents are so appreciative of the opportunities that their children have received. And so what we're going to be talking about primarily is around instruction. What does it mean to be instructed and learn as an English language learner? And so just a couple of terms that you're familiar, just what is the instructional program and requirements? And so our newest learners receive both what's called a standalone, so that's a pullout, that's your traditional pullout session, with also a co-taught English ELA with an English language or a classroom teacher and an ESL teacher. And as students rise in their proficiency and as they grow in their strength, then we remove that standalone sessions. And what we found is kids learn best when they're integrated. We know that, right? Now, some of the things they're going to learn a lot of English on the bus. They're going to learn a lot of English in the cafeteria. And certainly we're going to talk about what does that look like and what does that mean. But it's how do we support them in their academic language as well. And so with that, I will turn it over to Kate.
So Terry mentioned that as students are acquiring a second language, they learn the language of the bus and also the language of the classroom. Some of these terms come from a researcher named Jim Cummins, and he talks about basic interpersonal communication skills, which is the social language, and that's the first type of language that you learn as you're acquiring a second language. It's the language of day-to-day living that you would use at Wegmans, at school. It's in the playground, in the hallways, in the cafeteria, and it's very context embedded. You're at lunch and there's a piece of pizza, it's right there. You can read people's facial expressions, whether they like it or not. And typically that is acquired within 1 to 3 years. In contrast, there is also, after you've learned social language, then you move into cognitive academic language proficiency, or academic language, which is the language of the classroom. And this looks like an iceberg because social language is a lot easier to see. It's on the surface above the water, and it's harder to understand what's happening inside of a student as far as their academic language acquisition process. So academic language is the language of the classroom. It's very context reduced, just like this conversation that we're having right here in this moment, or if we're talking about universe expansion at the high school level, or animal defense mechanisms at the elementary level. And some research shows that that can take from 5 even up to 13 years to acquire, depending on a student's background. For example, have they been to school in their home country? Have they ever learned to read and write in their home language, regardless of where they've lived? And so we know that for some students, depending on when they arrive in Webster, we might not have 5, much less 13 years to help them acquire academic language. So we really want to speed up that process and plan our instruction very carefully to help them move up in their academic language proficiency.
So at the elementary level, and well, at the secondary level as well, as Terry mentioned, based on a child's level of English, their service is divided into co-teach and standalone times. And like Terry said, co-teaching is when we teach alongside the classroom teacher, and sometimes also special education teachers are also co-teaching at the same time. It involves working together to plan units and lessons, including how we will deliver the lesson. So on the slide, you can see there's different models of how you might co-teach during a specific lesson. It also involves choosing what scaffolds, such as pictures, word banks, or sentence frames, will best support the various groups of students based on their English level of proficiency, their literacy skills, and that includes all of the students in the classroom, not just the ELLs. So we're always planning for the whole classroom and including the ELLs. And then it includes implementing the instruction together and sharing the load of providing feedback to students for assessments and any work that they complete in the classroom. As co-teachers, we can also help inform instruction for the rest of our ELL's day when we're not in the room. For example, as Kate Hessla had talked about, we have done a lot of hard work in the district to align literacy instruction with the science of reading through the letters training. We've also been trained, and most of our SL colleagues have been trained or are receiving training. However, with an English learner, there are many factors to consider, like the absence of certain sounds in the first language, letter sound confusion between languages, differences in language structure, vocabulary, background knowledge, and many other factors. So as SL teachers, we can support our co-teachers with that information so that they can be strong instructors for the whole day for our Ls. Our standalone is a time when we take our entering and emerging level students to a separate location for small group instruction. During this time, we can target our instruction to meet the needs of the small group, incorporating speaking, listening, reading, and writing during all of our lessons. We try to include the student's first language when possible because that can help with the transfer of language. This time often includes vocabulary development and building background knowledge. In the pictures above, we focused on naming the body parts, and we have them in English and Spanish and Ukrainian. And then we also went on and did some sentence writing with that. And this would be an example of more of that BICS or social language that Kate talked about before. Sometimes our focus is more on the academic vocabulary and background knowledge to promote success in the classroom. So here we were learning about vocabulary that is going to come up very soon in our 3rd grade module called Water Around the World, in which they discuss the issue of
clean water and how it impacts people around the world. For my group of kiddos, I chose some articles that were a little bit simpler language so that we could really focus in on developing that vocabulary understanding of issue, impact, take action, and what it means to have a call to action, so that when we get to the water module in the classroom, they feel really confident using those words and understanding what they mean. And finally, we support our students' literacy development during this time through phonemic awareness and phonics lessons. And just a final note, I know we love collaborating with our teachers for co-teaching, but the standalone sessions are an extra special time that our kids really can open up with us, feel that nice connection with somebody, and they really show their true selves, and we see a lot of growth during that time. So, thank you.
We wanted to mention one new initiative that we started this year in the standalone, our new curriculum. We are piloting a new curriculum at Spry and Willink, a couple of us ESL teachers for the standalone. It's called Bridges to Academic Success. And it's actually was developed in New York State. And what's great about Bridges is that it's differentiated for English level and previous school experience. So even if you had a standalone with just 2 students, and one, let's say, had been in the US for a year, maybe had had some English instruction in their home country, and then the second student was brand new, perhaps didn't get to go to school in their country, those 2 students would need radically different curriculums or lessons, and Bridges allows and enables the teacher to have materials to meet the needs of each of those students exactly as they need. So Bridges involves comprehensive station work, including small group reading and writing with the teacher, which you can see in the picture on the far right. So while the teacher is working with a small group, the other students are working on either independent reading, which you see in the far left, independent writing, or a vocabulary station called Power Words. And they're called independent, but it's because they're independent from the teacher who's working with a small group at that time. The stations actually have carefully planned interdependent activities, so you can see, for example, one of the pictures that a student had finished reading a book and now she's retelling it to a partner according to a protocol, first in Ukrainian, and then the Ukrainian serves as an English as she works to retell it in English, trying to get at the academic language that's in that particular text. Just a way of example of one of the activities in the curriculum. So it really leverages the home language as a bridge. It's called Bridges to English, but it focuses obviously on English language instruction and academic language acquisition.
And lastly, one of the opportunities we provide for our students in receiving ELL services is a week-long summer camp experience. And this camp experience promotes a familiarity with Webster and the greater Rochester community through different field trips and activities that our team of teachers works to plan. It promotes connections with other students and with the staff members that are ENL teachers, but also classroom teachers, and continues to foster both levels of language development and create a sense of belonging. It's a really wonderful experience. I am not an ENL teacher, and it has been a fantastic, I had a fantastic experience last summer where I was able to see these students all together, and we were just discussing how they communicate within their own, like their home language groups, but then working together and seeing how they navigate those social situations and support each other. And it really, that sense of belonging is so wonderful to see in action. So we truly embody the Webster mission at camp. Throughout the week, the staff are compassionately connected with an amazing team of colleagues and volunteers. I was so fortunate to be the Terry's intern and oversee camp last year and plan to do it again this year. I had so much fun. And we have over 100 ELL students, just about, who attend camp. From the start of the week, building relationships is really the focus of what we do. The community experiences allow for joyful engagement with one another and learning every day for every one of us, teachers included. Last summer camp included a Community Helpers Day where we invited Webster, NEQ, ALS, the police department, and the fire department. They brought their vehicles. Students were able to spray the water hose. We talked about how these helpers in our community really take care of us and work together, and really let them show how positive that interaction can be. We had a presentation by the Bee Lady from the North Bee, where some of our students tasted honey for the very first time. They got to see that bees aren't all bad, and learned how important they are for our agriculture and farming. And then, speaking of goats, we talked about goats a little bit earlier. We had goats visit too from the Kaizen Ridge Farms, and they brought the goats right over to Plank South and set them up on the lawn, and we were able to interact. Everybody loved that experience, but we learned a lot about their farm as well. And we were able to take a trip to the Rochester Museum and Science Center. Went to the public market where a couple of first graders bought some really large watermelons.
Every year.
Every year.
Every year.
And they were both in my group. It was great. They were so proud. And many of them went and bought honey. Connecting to their experience from earlier in the week. They were so excited because the honey sticks were really reasonable. They had money for honey. It was wonderful just to see that come full circle. And then, of course, we visited the hydroponics lab here in Webster towards the end of the week. And as teachers, we were fascinated as well. We were able to see the fish and how the fish work with the plants and the water and all the tubes, and students were trying basil. We had some big plans for that produce from the public market, and then our basil from the hydroponics farmhouse or greenhouse, sorry. Camp is a wonderful experience. It is such a valuable part of the program, and like I said, it is anyone who participates. We even had a bus driver who heard about it and wanted to help, so she volunteered. She came along and she was like, I want to do this again next year. Make sure you call me, because it was so much fun. So we truly love our ENL summer camp and look forward to another great summer.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity just to share a little bit from our earliest students and what that looks like for students who need intensive academic support, to the enrichment that we offer our students. And that happens during the school year and then continues on through the summer. And we truly believe that multilingualism is a superpower. Our students, there's so much evidence that students who know more than one language, two languages, three languages, exponentially what it does for them in their future. And we're so proud and so thankful that we have the opportunity to work with these wonderful children and their families. And with that, I'll turn it over for any questions.
Well, that was fantastic. Thank you. It was so good to see you, Katie. Katie's also our teacher liaison to PTSA at State Road, so thank you for doing so much. The summer camp sounds amazing. That's really exciting that we offer that opportunity to our kids, because it's got to be really difficult coming in certain circumstances what they're coming from. So that's fantastic. What does it look like at the high school level? Like, how do you handle when they're coming into high school? Is it a standalone? It sounds like, do they still do standalones even at the high school? Okay, so they still go through those stages regardless of where they are.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
So proud, Terry, that you said that about multilingualism. As a child my first language was Spanish.
Yeah.
And I was in the bilingual program where Spanish was valued, right? And to hear that we in Webster know the value of 2 languages, 3 languages, 4 languages, whatever it may be, that we are not poo-pooing, right?
No.
The second language as they learn English, and we value that and see it as an asset and promote that, and that kids know that we value their home language is amazing. So thank you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, of course, and that's something that the teachers share. We have an annual district-wide parents meeting, and we want to promote that. Please use your home language. Please read to your students in your home language. That helps them. That helps their brain. That helps the elasticity in your brain. That's so critical, and we want to have that happen.
Good job. Thank you.
And as Maria mentions, every day in the business world, I see that all the time. The more languages you know, it is such an advantage. It gives you more career opportunities. And we're such a cohesive, the world is so small now that really being able to speak those other languages are really important. So I think keeping that, being able to have those opportunities are fantastic. And the fact that they're honoring, because they're going to need it, especially as the world continues to get smaller. Yeah.
It sounds like such a respectful program, and I see your joy, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's great to see them embracing that diversity and embracing that you should be honoring your background and continuing with that you don't give up your culture here, that everyone's culture is really valued and their home life is valued. I think that is so important. So it's fantastic. I agree, Carole.
Anybody else? Because I just got a couple.
No, for it.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, thank you. You guys did a wonderful job of putting that together, and love your enthusiasm and your spirit. That came out so well. So the answer to Terry's original question is 57% increase, right? Okay. So over those 5 years.
Thanks.
But I think
The
that
math guy
actually, I know,
couldn't
I couldn't resist. But I wanted to highlight that slide because on that slide you notice that there are 3 schools in that situation 5 years ago. Slide number 5. That didn't have any students.
Yeah.
And if you were to back it up even 3 years before that, we'd have 5 schools that would not have any. And so for us to go in the last 8 years and now have this program, and each one of our 11 buildings is absolutely a source of pride for us here in Webster. It is something that we heard loud and clear 8 years ago. That's why Terry actually embarked upon this with the team to say this is something that we need to do, is we need to have this so that the students can live in the neighborhood and actually interact with the kids that they go to school with. And we're super excited about that for the ENL program. So great job to all of you and the team, and again, wonderful report.
I know, and I know I've harped on this, but I am so proud of the contribution that our district is providing to the community. Like, I hope that it draws families in to know that we welcome you here and we want you a part of our community, and we want you, we want you here as part of us. I really think that's important. I'm proud of this district for that.
Thank you.
All right. With that, can I have a motion to approve the instructional report as presented? So moved, Jen, second, Carole. All in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good job.
All right, and that brings us on to board business. It is Brian Freeman.
My turn. Everybody can leave now.
And everybody leaves, yep. Like clockwork. Swinson, sit down.
First up is our February Treasurer's Report. February is kind of a boring financial month because it's short and nothing really fun happens. We don't get a lot of state aid, hardly all. And if we're lucky, the sales tax check comes. But I just wanted to point out, I do kind of harp on month to month how we are aggressive with our cash flow for investment strategy. I just want, I thought it would be a good time. We do use a prediction software to do that. We have for the past 3 years that uses an algorithm. So we are using a little AI used based on past performance to predict future outcomes, which helps us maximize where we're putting our money in for how long. So I just wanted to point that out, that we are incorporating technology into the finance side. So that is our February Treasurer's Report.
Questions? No? All right, with that, can I have a motion to approve the February 2024 Treasurer's Report as presented? So move, Maria. Second, Jen. All in favor? Aye. BOCES budget and election.
All right, next up is the Monroe 1 budget. If you thought the school district budgets were complicated, welcome to the BOCES budget, which takes into account all 10 districts within Monroe 1. And for us, the big part is it's a shared model. So we are staying relatively stable. 19.01% of all required services is our part of the tab. So administrative services, anything that is billed on the Arwada methodology that they lay out for you. Webster, we take on 19% as the largest Monroe 1 district. So we are staying stable there as part of their budget. Everything else is pretty much straightforward, same year after year that they're proposing.
Questions? All right, these are long ones because we have to do all these individually, so the fun part, so bear with me. All right, the first one is a motion to vote to approve the proposed BOCES administrative budget in the amount of $5,820.48 for the 2024-25 school year. And then we'll do the seats separately. So motion to approve the budget first.
So moved.
So moved. Linda, second. Maria, all in favor? Aye. All right, seat 1, motion to cast 1 vote for election of Margaret Burns, resident of West Irondequoit Central School District, as a member of the Monroe 1 BOCES Board for a term of office which will begin July 1, 2024, and end on June 30th, 2027. Motion. So moved. Linda, second. Carole, all in favor? Aye. Seat number 2, motion to cast 1 vote for election of Mark Kokonovich, resident of the Brighton Central School District, as a member of the Monroe 1 BOCES Board for a term of office which will begin on July 1, 2024, and end on June 30th, 2027. Motion, Carole, second. Shanna, all in favor? Aye. Seat 3, motion to cast 1 vote for election of Tom Nespeka, resident of the Webster Central School District, as a member of the Monroe 1 BOCES Board for a term of office which will begin on July 1, 2024, and end on June 30th, 2027. So moved. Jen, second. Maria, all in favor? Aye. Seat 4, motion to cast 1 vote for election of Maureen Knupp, resident of the Fairport Central School District, as a member of the Monroe 1 BOCES Board for a term of office which will begin on July 1, 2024, and end on June 30th, 2027. Motion. Linda, second. Shanna, all in favor? Aye. And our last one. Seat 5, motion to cast 1 vote for election of Nancy Semmel, resident of the East Irondequoit Central School District, as a member of Monroe 1 BOCES Board for a term of office which will begin on July 1, 2024, and end on June 30th, 2027. So move. Jen, second. Carole, all in favor? Aye. That does it for the BOCES budget election. Here we go. Property tax report card.
All righty, next up is for our budget is 2 required documents, the budget notice and then the property tax report card. Both very, very similar, especially on the first half. Budget notice is really comparing years and from last year to this year and what kind of proposition we are putting forward and a little bit of information on projected STAR savings. So the budget notice wraps that all up. That is part of the requirement that we send out to the community for this to be included in our newsletter. And now the property tax report card is slightly different, very similar, still has the same information on the proposed budget and the tax levy limit. But what was added in the past couple of years is a listing, a snapshot in time of what in March all of our reserve funding is. So that is really the huge difference between the 2 documents. The property tax report card actually gets submitted to New York State. The budget notice does not. The property tax report card gets submitted to New York State, but the property tax report card does not have to be published because the state, in essence, publishes it for all districts simultaneously once it gets submitted. So the big difference there is the listing with the tax report card of the balance in 331 and then what the estimate is at the end of the year, which could change over the next couple months. But that's the breakdown of the 2 and the slight variations between the 2 required documents. Questions on any of them? Either one of them?
All right, with that, motion to approve the property tax report card and budget notice. So move. Charlie, second. Linda, all in favor? Aye. All right, resolution.
Next up is just the resolution laying out exactly what our proposed budget is. No changes from workshop 3. And then what our proposed one proposition for transportation is, again, just as a refresher, as part of the resolution.
Questions? Good. All right, motion to approve the resolution for the adoption of the 2024-2025 budget. So moved, Carole. Second, Shanna. All in favor?
Aye.
Donation.
Next up is a scholarship donation. So a couple years back, there was a scholarship established in the memory of Bill Sepka for students pursuing a career path in skilled trades. The amount at that time was not great enough for the threshold for board adoption, so we just accepted that. But recently, the stewards of the funding gave a large donation for us to hold on to for the scholarship in the amount of $15,000. So this is required to accept this for board approval since it's over the threshold. We already have the account set up, so we will just place this into that scholarship account already.
The only question, is this an annual amount, or is this just the total amount of the fund that's currently in there?
No, this isn't the annual amount. This is just what they're turning over. I believe the amount is $2,000 for the students that are selected, but they can change it year to year, so it's not set in stone. It's at their discretion.
All right. Motion to approve the donation from Sepka family. So moved, Jen. Second, Shanna. All in favor? Aye. And the bid.
All right, last up for me is the first phase of the 2023 capital project bid acceptance. So this is for Schrader Ceiling and Lights. This might have been planned in advance, so it was actually approved by SED based on what we were hopeful for in 2022. So that's why you see the quick turnaround, why we're bidding after the vote in December. That never happens, but this was an early approval. And so we opened up bids for the electrical contract and the ceiling contract. Bids came in actually under budget, so that was nice by a little bit. And so Billatier Electric, who very familiar with the district, has won several bids before, and Rochester Davis Fetch has actually won bids with us before as well. So two contractors that we're very comfortable with and vetted, and so recommending to approve them this evening to begin work. And I included all the companies that bid for the electrical and the ceiling contract as backup documentation as well.
Questions? Good. All right, motion to approve the bid acceptance. So moved, Carole. Second, Maria. All in favor? Aye. All right, I'm up next. It is the first reading of the 2024-2025 Board of Ed calendar. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it. The only change is we've seen good feedback about starting a little earlier, not just from staff, but some of the students. It gets them to athletic events and music events and other things a little earlier when they can come at 5. So it looks like we're going to try to do that a little bit more often next year as we can. Then it allows us to go to events also afterward if we can. So other than that, questions? All right, motion to approve the first reading of the 24-25 Board of Ed calendar and move it forward for a second reading next month. So moved, Jen. Second, Charlie. All in favor? Aye. All right, on to board member highlights. If anybody wants to start. Carole?
We attended the Young Women's Empowerment Community group, a new thing, and then I went to game night with them, and it was so much fun. I mean, I just love games anyways, but this is such a nice group of young ladies and their leader.
And Nicole appreciated you attending the game night as well.
I got into it, you know.
She said you did.
I know, all of a sudden I was
competitive over here.
I can't believe, I mean, because my arm isn't long enough I had to like get in for some of that stuff.
Sam said she's competitive.
Yeah.
Very competitive. I see it.
I went to Shrek.
Oh, yes.
It just was the best thing I've seen in a long time, and I've been to Broadway. It was so impressive in the music and the talent. Oh, well. Also, Community Arts Day. That was, I saw you there working. I didn't bother. Everybody was working. I was just strolling and enjoying. Yeah, that's, and of course, the PTSA stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
All student pit, too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar faces in that pit, yeah.
Yeah. I'll just add on to what Carole said. Especially for Community Arts Day, it's such a unique opportunity for our community to come in and see so many different aspects of our school, because they have the Arts Day and we have the performers, and they had empty bowls there this year. And I just think it's such, I try to get the word out there because it's such a great way. There's vendors, you know, that are intermingling with everyone and there's so many great places there. And I think the book fair, all these different groups that are coming together, and so therefore they get exposure to other areas of the school that they wouldn't normally have. I just think it's really a really special day, and I agree. The volunteers, you know, that pull that together, it's a lot of work from all these different aspects. So I really love Community Arts Day. I think that was fantastic. Shrek was so good. Another thing I loved about Shrek and our theater programs is that it really brought opportunities for OWL students to really participate together with everyone and on such an equal footing, and to see each other in a different way than they normally do on day-to-day school with just seeing people in passing. So I thought it was a big night for so many of the students, and it was great to see so many teachers there supporting their students too. They did a fantastic job. And we're heading into really, really busy, really awards and art season. That's going to be really busy from here on out, especially with graduation and our kids getting ready to graduate. So it's been fantastic.
Oh, the bowls, yeah.
That was fun. Turned out pretty well.
Right?
It was a lot of fun, right?
It was so fun. They were so unique and cute. And like Deb, I brought, you know, I couldn't help but bring more home, and they're different like animals, and it was a lot of fun. And seeing the artwork, my gosh, there's so much talent.
It was at Thomas that they we made the
And then they sold them at the Community Arts Day.
Yeah.
Thank goodness people reminded me, because I was like, I would have missed. It. I saw Brian. I almost took your cup, Brian. I thought it was mine. It was very good.
I just want to remind you that I've signed you all up for SEPTA bowling.
Oh, yes.
So
Yeah. I have my bowling shoes.
You'll get your bowling shoes ready. So that will be on the 28th. And also on the 27th, there is a drug take-back, which will be held at the town court in Webster. It's the building with the blue roof in the back. So if you have any drugs, medications that you'd like to get rid of, and animal medications are also included in that, bring them and they will take them back. So, and we're busy with the AI subcommittee, the strategic planning survey. There's a lot going on, so.
There is a lot going on.
It's busy, yeah, buses.
Spring sports, hopefully the
Spring
weather
sports.
cooperates.
From here on out, it's going to be insane.
Crazy. So, yeah.
I mentioned that in March, we did attend the diversity event. That was amazing. Thank you, Dr. Chowa, for putting that together. That was a great event. We got to see a lot of folks together, and I believe it was a larger group than the previous one, correct?
Was, and it was also larger than we could have hoped under the severity of the
Yes,
warning.
the severity of the weather, right? But it was great to see a lot of folks come out, even with the extreme weather. So it was a great event, a nice way to meet some of our. It was a very diverse crowd, so it was really nice. Yeah.
Complete with a fire drill.
Yes, yes. I forgot about the fire drill.
I still think that should count for
you
the
know,
spring
and you're playing. What was it? Lacrosse.
It was.
Yeah, it was a great event.
It was a great event.
And the students that performed.
Yes,
that was a
beautiful,
highlight.
beautiful performances by our
Thank you
kids.
for that, Robert.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And everybody went home with food. It was great. There's lots to go around. All right, I don't have anything else to add. So with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. If anybody has any questions, we're good. Motion to approve the consent agenda. So move, Maria. Second, Linda. All in favor? Aye. We do not have any speakers tonight, so when are we back? I gotta find my dates here.
It's May. Let's see, it would be 7th, I think? 6th,
May
sorry.
6th, yeah, sorry. Thank you. I didn't have it on here. Tuesday, May 7th is our next regular business meeting. Got it. And of course, we have the vote coming up on the 21st. Other than that, we are all set. So if I get a motion to adjourn, Carole, second Maria, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Have a good evening.